Good morning. My name's Bill and I'm an alcoholic. And today's share is called Quality. My first car was a little grey minivan. It was in 1974. That was 48 years ago, when it was just 1 year old, that it cost £300. And I loved that car, and I went everywhere in it, and it came everywhere with me. And my God, did we do a lot of drinking together. But it always got me home. It never let me down. I never had an accident in it. How, I don't know, because I would drive every day while I was so drunk. I once gave a hitchhiker a lift, and it was on a very wet, stormy night. And halfway home, he asked to get out. But do you know what? I can still remember the number plate. And I can't remember any other number plates from any other car I've ever owned. But I can remember that one like it was yesterday. And as the years rolled on, the cars I bought changed. They often got a little faster, probably a bit more comfortable, had a higher spec, and altogether the quality of the cars I bought as I've got older has got better. And in a way, this really replicates the path that my sobriety has taken, where it's been a continuous process of change. And as the days and weeks and months of sobriety have moved on, so did how I engaged with this new way of living. Day number 1 is no different really to day number 200 or 2,000 or 10,000. Because on each day, all I've got to do is not pick up a drink. But really it's how I manage each day and how I deal with life's problems and life's issues that somehow altogether just seem a little bit easier to deal with. AA has only ever promised me one thing by offering just one day at a time without the need to pick up a drink. That's all. But it's within that day that the promises eventually start to come true. Where a sober day can also be a good day. Where a sober day can be a happy day, be a day of joy, of hope, of tranquility, of looking at the stars and the moon and the sun, looking at the trees and the grass, where each day can be filled with an optimism that I still enjoy. Because when I drank, I just couldn't envisage a day without drinking. It was about as far removed from reality as it's possible to get. But eventually something deep down within me changed. Something shifted. Someone switched on a light. Something spiritually in me moved sidewards, had changed. And it was on that day that I called Alcoholics Anonymous and I went to my first AA meeting. And the start of a new life just happened there and then. It seemed almost automatic. It almost had a momentum of its own, where nothing was planned. And I seemed to be carried along on a wave of enthusiasm for sobriety. In recovery, we steer clear of levels, of judgments and of stages in sobriety. We walk away from judgments of other people, of how my recovery is up to other people's and how theirs is up to mine, because nobody's recovery is any better than anybody else's. Because we insist that as long as you're sober, that's about as good as it gets. Because nobody in AA will ever rise above being a human being. And nobody in AA will ever rise above being a sober human being. And being a sober human being is the ultimate success that AA offers me. That's all. However, happiness, a willingness to change, and an acceptance of the unacceptable is the marker of moving on from just being sober. Measuring quality is not about my sobriety being any different or any better or any worse than anyone else's, but it is a yardstick to how at home I am living by myself without picking up a drink. Where today I'm able to deal with some fears, to deal with some resentments, and to deal with situations that I can see as if looking through a new pair of glasses. And I can experience the experience of eventually letting go of my past. Where today I'm able to embrace my future, I can embrace what happened to me as being exactly what needed to happen to me, because that's eventually and ultimately what got me into Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's where my areas of growth really started. Acceptance of who I am and an acceptance of who I was is and has and will always be the stepping stone towards eventually doing something that I just couldn't envisage, and that was to start to love myself, warts and all. Nothing happens in recovery before it's meant to, and nothing happens in recovery by mistake. Where living sober doesn't have to be difficult. It just requires more effort on some days than it does on others. Quality creeps into my recovery from areas that I never knew. Often it creeps in through doors I didn't know I left open, and often it will creep in through doors that I've had to put a bit of effort in to open them. Quality in sobriety is about saying no as a complete sentence. It's about being able to listen to someone without interrupting. It's about letting someone out in the morning without any thought for myself. It's about queuing up without frustration. It's about not getting upset about the things I used to get upset about. Quality is where being late becomes acceptable, where getting things wrong becomes okay. And if I'm making a mistake in recovery, I have to realise that's exactly what's meant to happen. But ultimately, quality shouldn't be mixed up with perfection. And reality is not about being stupid. Getting through a sober day whilst making mistakes is seen as quality time because it's about learning. It's about growing up. It's about maturing. It's about manageability. And getting through a whole night's sleep without worry is an accomplishment. There is no good times in recovery, and there are no bad times in recovery. Recovery is just about improving my life and enjoying the days that I've got sober. Quality days in recovery are where nothing unusual has to happen, but if it does, that's okay as well. Where quality recovery shows me how to survive a painful day without the need to pick up a drink. That's all. So just for today, whatever happens in my life, as long as I don't pick up a drink, all will just be okay. And that eventually and ultimately is what we call sobriety at its best. And that's where I am able to judge my life. And today I will judge that life as being the life I've always wanted to live, where I've always wanted to be, and that's ultimately what I call quality. Bill the Shirt, Bristol.